Have you ever wondered what it means to be sold without even realizing it? In Pakistan, for many girls, marriage is not a beautiful union of love. It is a cold financial transaction. From childhood, a girl is prepared for one primary role: to become a commodity that will benefit her family. The key term here is the dowry. However, this is not merely assistance for the newlyweds. It is a direct payment made by the bride's family to the groom's family. The older a woman is, the lower her dowry. The same applies if she is considered less desirable. Consequently, the bride's age is often very young. She is married off to an unfamiliar man, frequently twice or even 3 times her age. Her own feelings, dreams, or consent hold absolutely no significance. She becomes part of a property transfer, changing hands from one family to another. From that moment on, a lifetime of servitude begins, where she has no voice, only duties. This is not a marriage. It is a lifelong contract of servitude. Now, imagine what happens to a person raised from childhood for the role of a commodity. Her sense of self is systematically eroded. From a very young age, the girl is taught that her main purpose is to serve others.
She is denied education not only due to poverty. Often it is because of the belief that an educated woman will become disobedient and start asking dangerous questions. Instead of textbooks and notebooks, she is handed a mop and a cooking pot. Her world is confined to the walls of the home, where she serves as unpaid domestic help. But the most damaging aspect is the psychological pressure. She is constantly told that she is a source of potential shame for her family. Her own desires and dreams are labeled as sinful. She is taught that being quiet, invisible, and obedient is the ultimate virtue. In essence, the girl is robbed not only of her childhood, but also of her right to a life of her own. She is deprived of a future so that by the time of the transaction, her marriage, she does not even contemplate resistance. She accepts her fate because she knows no alternative. Now, let's look into a space where cameras and outside observers do not penetrate: the marital bedroom. What does the concept of conjugal duty truly mean for a Pakistani woman in this context? This term is stripped of any notion of mutuality or pleasure. For her, it is an obligation in the most literal financial sense of the word. She was purchased, and now she must provide repayment for the transaction.
The concept of consent does not exist here. Her body does not belong to her. It is the property of her husband, who has the right to demand it whenever and however he wishes. Refusal? Disobedience? This is viewed as an insult to his masculine honor and can lead to violence or public shaming. Many women admit to simply lying still and waiting for it to be over, dissociating from what is happening. They say that in these moments they feel not like a living person, but like an object. But the control does not end there. The next stage often involves reproductive coercion. The husband and his family insist on having as many children as possible, particularly sons. The woman is reduced to an incubator, and her health and psychological well-being are of no concern to anyone. She has no say in matters of contraception, and frequent pregnancies and childbirths deplete her body. Imagine what it is like to be forced to engage in intimate relations with a person you fundamentally fear. Imagine your own body becoming a battleground where you have no voice. Is this not one of the most refined forms of torture, concealed beneath the sacred veil of marriage?
What do you think? Can a woman living under such conditions experience anything resembling love or attraction? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's discuss what happens when even such a marriage is not an escape from poverty, or when a girl finds herself on the streets. Do you think prostitution in Pakistan is a story of vice and depravity? No. It is a story of total economic helplessness. It is a desperate measure a woman takes not because she wants to, but because she literally has no other means of survival. Imagine a single mother, cast out by her husband, or a girl from a family where all resources are directed toward the sons, and she is told, "Your beauty is our only asset. Go and earn money." Often, her own relatives, brothers or even fathers, act as facilitators, pressuring her to help the family.
She finds herself trapped. On one side, hunger and shame. On the other, the necessity imposed as a duty to trade her body. The men who use her services continue to be seen as respectable family men by society. Meanwhile, she, the woman, is viewed as social scum. She is humiliated, her life is constantly in danger, and her clients can behave with impunity, knowing she has no one to turn to. The police often offer no protection, instead extorting bribes or directly participating in her exploitation. The most devastating aspect is the cost of this survival. It is not merely moral suffering, it is a direct path to an early grave. In a country where discussing sex is taboo, access to information about safe sexual practices is non-existent. The spread of HIV and other infections is reaching epidemic proportions, yet this reality remains unaddressed. These women are not merely selling their bodies, they are slowly killing themselves to survive for one more day. This creates a vicious cycle. Society denies a woman the right to education and legitimate work, pushes her into a corner, and then despises her for utilizing the only means of survival she has left. Is this not the ultimate form of hypocrisy? So, a woman has broken the rules. What are these rules?
These rules can vary. She might have looked at the wrong man, or refused a marriage arranged by her family. She might have fled from an abusive husband, or, as is increasingly common today, secretly communicated with someone online. She was caught, and now the family's most valued possession, its honor, is under threat. What happens next is monstrous. Blood must be shed for her crime. But the most shocking aspect is that the executioner is often her own family. Father, brother, uncle, the very people who were supposed to protect her. For them, murdering a daughter or sister is not a crime, but a duty, the restoration of honor they believe she has defiled. This barbaric practice is known as honor killing. It is not a relic of the deep past. It happens today. There are no official statistics because most such crimes are disguised as accidents or suicides. However, human rights activists report hundreds, if not thousands, of victims each year. And society often condones it. The judicial system is notoriously reluctant to act. The victims' relatives, who are the perpetrators themselves, rarely face severe sentences.
Judges and police face pressure from extended family networks and public opinion that often views the woman as having brought it upon herself. There are even legal loopholes that allow a murderer to go free if the victim's family forgives them. And forgiving one's own son, brother, or father is considered normal. Imagine the utter horror of this situation. A young woman who should have been loved and protected is running not from strangers, but from her closest relatives. She knows she is being hunted by those she grew up with under the same roof. Her final moments are not just filled with the fear of death, but with the realization of monstrous betrayal. What could be more cynical than a murder in the name of honor, which in reality is merely a cover for the most inhuman barbarity? Now imagine that each of these women, trapped in a cage of rules and prejudices, holds a smartphone in her hand. It is a tiny window to another world, and beyond it begins a secret, parallel life. Take the young wife whose husband controls her every move in the real world, but on her phone, behind a password, she maintains a separate account.
There, she is not her husband's property. There, she can discuss books, share her thoughts, and laugh. And perhaps secretly exchange messages with a man who treats her as a person. Every such message is a dangerous game. Deleting the history, clearing notifications, logging out of the account. This becomes a ritual perfected to the point of automation. Then there is the girl being prepared for a marriage she does not want. She secretly learns English through YouTube, dreaming of a career. Or she covertly buys herself a pair of jeans, an absolutely forbidden item in her community, and changes into them when no one is home, just to feel free for a few minutes. These secret victories and forbidden connections are acts of desperate self-affirmation. They are an attempt to prove to herself, I exist. I have the right to my own desires. But the price of this momentary happiness is incredibly high. One accidentally open browser tab, one notification that sounds at the wrong time, one report from a well-meaning neighbor, and everything will collapse. What awaits her then is not just punishment. She will be accused of depravity, of witchcraft, of bringing shame upon her family. Secret correspondence can become evidence of her guilt and lead to precisely that honor killing. She risks absolutely everything, even her life, for a few gulps of freedom.
For the chance to be not what they were assigned to be, but who they feel they are inside. Do you believe such a risk is justified? And would you, in her place, fight for your right to breathe freely, even at the cost of your own safety? Have you ever wondered what it means to live under the constant, unrelenting pressure of hundreds of watching eyes? This isn't about state police, but something far more pervasive, a moral police force comprised of your own neighbors, relatives, and even strangers on the street. In Pakistani society, many men feel entitled to pass judgment on a woman's behavior, clothing, or even her gaze. This control begins with small things. Why did you leave the house without your brother? Your headscarf doesn't cover your hair properly. You laughed too loudly in public. The undipproving stare, the whispers behind your back, the angry shout from a passing car. From childhood, women are conditioned to believe that every action, every gesture will be scrutinized for its conformity to the norm. But the most terrifying weapon is the label of being a fasad ki jar, a source of strife or trouble, a person who spreads discord and conflict.
And it is precisely this label that is most frequently applied to a woman who dares to have an opinion of her own, refuses a forced marriage, or speaks up about violence. She is declared a fasad ki jar, and that alone is enough to turn the entire community against her. Her words lose all credibility, she is blamed for every wrongdoing, and she becomes isolated. This male gaze as a verdict is not an abstraction. It is a powerful tool of suppression. It operates even in the physical absence of men. When a woman steps outside, she is already mentally prepared for judgment, preemptively adjusting her clothing, lowering her gaze, striving to become invisible. She learns to exist in a state of constant self-monitoring and self-censorship. Paradoxically, this control places the blame squarely on the victim herself. If you are stared at, you must have provoked it with your improper behavior. If a stone is thrown at you, you are at fault for being in the wrong place, wearing the wrong clothes. It is a system where the aggressor is always right and the victim is always to blame for having become a target. Thus, a woman lives in a vast, invisible prison where everyone around her acts as a guard.
And the harshest judgment is the one she passes on herself, after years of training to be quiet, inconspicuous, and accommodating. Devastating, isn't it? Imagine being surrounded by a wall of silence, You cannot scream because your mouth is gagged. You cannot gesture because your hands are held down. And everyone around you pretends nothing is happening. This is how millions of Pakistani women live. Their pain, their suffering, their cries for help are drowned in a deafening silence created by an entire system. The primary and most powerful instrument of this silencing is the family. From childhood, girls are taught that all of this, shame, violence, injustice, is a private family matter. Airing dirty laundry is considered the ultimate sin, one that brings disgrace upon all relatives. A victim of violence who seeks help is herself blamed for shaming the family. This mechanism, ingrained from an early age, kills any thought of seeking external protection. What happens if she still decides to speak out? She encounters a second, equally powerful barrier, the local community. Elders, neighbors, and religious leaders most often side with the aggressor.
Their main goal is not to achieve justice, but to calm the situation and maintain the status quo. The woman will be pressured to endure, forgive, and not ruin the family's reputation. Her story will be turned into gossip, and she herself will be ostracized. But even if she manages to break through these two circles of hell, she faces a third, and the most cynical one, the official system. Police often refuse to register reports of rape or domestic violence, dismissing them as family disputes. Courts, dominated by men, may demand unrealistic levels of proof, and the legal process itself becomes a source of re-traumatization for the victim. Laws designed to protect women are often rendered ineffective in practice due to corruption, patriarchal prejudices, and immense pressure placed on the victims. As a result, the woman is left in an absolute vacuum. She has nowhere to go. There is no one to listen to her. No one is interested in her pain. She is left completely alone with her tormentors in total, deafening silence. This silence is not an absence of sound. It is an active, aggressive tool of oppression that breaks the spirit and kills hope. What could be more terrible than screaming when everyone around you has agreed to pretend they cannot hear you? What do you think could make the world pay closer attention to this? Share your opinion in the comments. If this video has made you think, please like and subscribe to the channel.